Hi, this is János, it's Real World Audio, and let's talk again about power lines. Optimize made a very important post on my last video, which was titled, I'm looking at my computer, what is bad power? And he pointed out something very important that I did not, actually I just glanced over it, didn't even think about it, because you know, when you talk, you make generalizations. So I just generalized that most of you are in a similar situation where I am, which is in the United States. 98% of the people have really crappy power lines, and we are all going to see fluctuations with, with really great power and atrocious power. And but if you live other parts of the world, or maybe you are off the grid, you might not experience that, and you might never notice that that your gear's reaction to power line changes, because if there are no changes on the power line, then your gear will not react to something. So if you are wondering that, oh, I live, let's say I live for example in Hungary, and I never experienced any gear going through extreme fluctuations. Maybe now I'm noticing a little bit of fluctuations, but not much. Then you don't need to wonder that your equipment is broken or something, because there are no massive fluctuations in the power grid. They are properly, the grid is properly designed and running, and your gear sounds infinitely better than if you had the same gear in the United States. So when people are crying that the gear costs like twice in their country compared to the United States, well, my good news for you is that your electricity is at least 10 to 100 times better than what's in the United States. So if you pay X amount of money, you are still going to get 10 times better sound for it compared to whatever you pay in the United States, even though you have much lesser gear. So yeah, you have less bragging rights to the equipment you own, but you will still enjoy 100 times better sound. So for example, no, I'm not going to say examples. I was going to say an example how a system that my brother put together, which doesn't even gets recognized in the United States as an entry level, below the entry level, sounded better than 90% of the stuff that I heard in the United States that are in the $10,000 plus category. So that's it. So Optimize made a very important point that if you don't notice any kind of fluctuation, then the reason can be twofold. I just mentioned one of the reasons, and the reason is if your gear is unable to react to power line fluctuations. That's when you will not hear fluctuations. And in that case, your gear is doing the power conditioning by itself. So it has built-in features that provide power line conditioning. And those built-in features take good care of you and prevent really bad situations, but they also interfere from having you hearing the potential of that gear without that built-in power conditioning. And what I was saying in my previous video is, if you don't have that built-in feature to provide that internal conditioning, then you are going to hear extreme highs, extreme positive experiences from your system. And when there's this extra conditioning inside, you are not going to hear any of that. And the other case when you are not hearing it is if you have if you do not have fluctuations in the power line, and then it doesn't matter what sort of system you have, you're not going to hear a change when there are no changes. So if you don't hear a change and you happen to live in that part of the world where there are no power line fluctuations, then don't think about looking for different gear, because you would need to move here to the United States to have a crappy power line, but then you won't be happier at all, because most of the time you're going to get the problematic situations, and 5% of the time you are going to have sound which is getting closer to what you have in Europe, for example. So thank you, Optimize, for just getting a reality check here and making sure that I properly address a wider range of audience, more of you, and not just those who live in such deplorable power line conditions as yours truly happens to live. So thank you, Optimize, and thank you, guys, and just enjoy the music. And when you hear fluctuations, then you know, it's sad, but it's also maybe there's some bonus to it, that when you are down, sometimes you go up. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.